Welcome to Monday Night Live, ladies and gentlemen. Have I got a special episode for you tonight? I'm taking these off because tonight you've just got me to talk about how to create content that converts on LinkedIn, because there's a lot of people that are creating content, might not be getting the views they want, the likes they want. The algorithm has evolved a lot in the last 2 years, and beyond that, it's changing quicker than ever. So we're going to talk about how do you create content that converts, why most people get it wrong, how to plan your content so you're being efficient about it, not wasting all your time on social media. And we're going to talk about how to build a network, because it all starts with the quality of your network. And I'm going to give you a few tips on your profile as well. In fact, if anybody would like me to look at their profile live during this Monday Night Live, drop it in the comments. And anyway, drop in the comments, let us know where you're tuning in from, dudes. Thanks for the feedback on Luke. I imagine you're talking about Luke Hawkins' podcast. That was a lot of fun. Drop in the comments, guys. Let us know where you're tuning in from, whether it's LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. So, content. I've been doing a lot of content lately for other businesses through my Behind the Brand service. And so we've really learned like how to take a business or a professional that's getting no views, has got a very small network, to be able to get like 1,000 to 5,000 views each time they post a video. But not only that, how to create enough videos for 3 months using just 1 hour of their time. So I'm going to show you the process we use that we can use for any business. How do I know it evolves? Do I tell you? Good question. So the question was, how do I know LinkedIn is evolving quicker than ever? Literally because every time I log on there, I notice there's new features, new things you can do. We're constantly testing and measuring to see what works, what's showing up in the news feed. And then I subscribe to the LinkedIn blog. So if you want to get news directly from LinkedIn about product updates, product features, just go to LinkedIn's blog. Just Google LinkedIn blog, and that's where all of the updates are released. We've got Lacey Saville in the house, ladies and gentlemen. We've got somebody tuning in from the Blue Mountains. Sorry, I don't know why name's not coming through. We've got people coming through on LinkedIn. Anybody on Facebook joining us tonight? Anybody on YouTube? Say hello and drop some questions as we go. I'm happy to answer your questions. So let me just show you this one graph to start the conversation off. Okay. Where am I? Okay, so people have got more choices, but less time, right? So you can see this is the graph of what's happened in the last 10 years. People got more choices, less time. So attention is cheap these days. Eventually, people are just going to start ignoring stuff unless you're compelling and capture attention. On YouTube and on Instagram, you can look at the average view duration, right? So the average view duration is how long people are watching your videos for, right? And so if you've got like a minute-long video or even a 10-minute-long video, this is what the graph looks like. So if you've got the number of views on the vertical axes and then time people watch on the horizontal axes, basically within the first 10 seconds, you're losing about half of your viewers. And that's just the same across the board. By a minute, you're losing about 80% on average of the people that are viewing. So what we want to try and do is just try and flatten this curve so more people are watching your content. And you do that by hooking people at the start of the video. We had an awesome session on Monday Night Live last week on storytelling with David J.B. Phillips, who's got 17 million views on his TED Talks on YouTube about storytelling. And he was saying you've got to put the hook at the start. So whether that's the 5 things that create content that converts on LinkedIn, make it the headline, and just tell people at the start what you're going to cover. If you're creating 2-3 minute videos for like LinkedIn, a great idea is to take like a 10-second or a 5-second highlight from throughout the video and throw it at the start before you do your intro, just to show people, oh wow, what's all this about? Show them a really engaging part. And you notice some of the great content creators do this. Really important to capture people's attention, because if you just start your video, and a lot of people do this with a telephone, and they're like, hi, how are you? I just thought I'd hop on here today because, I've had a busy morning and I met this client and he said this and she said that. The problem is the content could be good, but you're losing a lot of your viewers because of the preamble and the intro and stuff. With things like live video and YouTube videos, you can afford to be a bit longer, but you still need to tell people what to expect in the video. A great thing to do is a show like this, where you're doing the same thing weekly, where you can create it in advance, it doesn't have to be live, or monthly, so people learn what to expect. A a lot of the people tuning in tune in, not every week, but most weeks. And so we build an audience who know what to expect. So therefore, you don't constantly have to be grabbing people's attention with a new headline. Who else we got on the call, guys? I want you to say hello. Let's make this as interactive as possible. No doubt you will have questions. Before you do anything on LinkedIn, you do need to make sure your profile is optimized. There's a 22-step process I suggest going through, which I actually offer for free on my website. So if you go to, I think it's on Bibby Consulting Group. Yeah, bibbyconsultinggroup.com.au. Maybe someone could drop that in the chat, bibbyconsultinggroup.com.au, and on there you'll find under resources a profile optimization checklist. So most people have a version of their CV, or they don't set it up properly so that when your visitors get there, because the profile is what converts, whether it's content, whether you're sending messages, whether people are Googling your name and they end up on your LinkedIn profile, that's where you can tell people what to do next, how to get in touch with you, where all your website links are and stuff. You don't want to do it in your content, unless you're running an ad or something. So let me show you this next one. Okay. Where's my face? Okay, so this is how LinkedIn works. I assume you can still hear me. So you've got your first degree connections to the left there, those 3 people. And then all the people that they're connected to are your second level connections. So you've got mutual connections. That's the one. Thank you for sharing that. So I'll take this off now. So that graph I just showed you, first degree connections, second degree connections, and third degree connections. So first degree connections are people that you're connected to on LinkedIn. So let's say you're connected to 3 people on LinkedIn. They're also going to have connections that they're connected to, right? And so if you've got 3 connections and they're each connected to 10 people, then in your second degree network, you should have 30 people that you can find who are visible. And that's your potential referral network. From a sales perspective or growing revenue perspective, that's where the opportunity is, your second degree connections. In fact, when you do a search on LinkedIn, you can actually narrow down in the filters to second degree connections. The fact that they've got somebody that they're connected to in common with you just means that there's a much higher chance that they'll convert. So we're not really going after cold pit leads that don't really know you. You're going to contact people that have mutual connections. And what you want to do is find the second degree connections that meet your criteria for an ideal client and invite them to become your first degree connection. And as your first degree network grows with the right type of people, your ideal clients, you'll find that the people in your second degree network that are suitable to become your customer will grow as well. And that's how you create influence with the right type of people. The mistake that a lot of people make is they get on LinkedIn and they just go to who sent me an invitation? Oh, should I accept that or should I not? They may accept all of them. They may accept half of them. They may accept only a couple. Doesn't matter however many they accept, they're being reactive. What we want to do is be proactive. Okay, you're the one that's reaching out and sending someone a connection request saying, hey, I noticed that you're in this industry. This is the industry that I build my network in. This is the content. I create content for your industry. So therefore, your content's all relevant to the people that are in your network. There's no point having a bunch of people in there that aren't going to buy from you. Because it's just going to dilute your network. And if you try and please them and try and create content that they're going to like, you're just going to become very average and you dilute your value because you're trying to please everyone. You're not going to please everyone. That's not the way the world works. That's why people want more choices. You're going to go on a Netflix. Not everybody wants to watch the same show, So the idea is to decide what your show is going to be, what your content's about, what your business is about, the people you want to serve, and then invite those people to come into your audience. Invite them to come and watch your show. And that's one of the big mistakes I see a lot of people make. Oh, thanks, Pauline, for sharing that. I don't know why your name's not coming up, but that's the website you want to go to. Under resources, you'll be able to get a profile optimization checklist to get your profile set up. Very important. There's a bunch of other resources under there as well that you want to check out. I've got a prospecting kit. I think there's a content calendar template, which is very important. So check that out as well. Which brings me to my next point. This is a content calendar. Very simple. People don't plan their content, right? Very important. All you got to do is map out the month in advance and just outline which post you're going to do on which day. I'll bring that back up in a second, but if you're on LinkedIn, 2 posts a week is a good starting point. If you can do 2 posts a week, that's fantastic. At least plan 2 posts a week, and then maybe you can drop one in there if you go to a networking function or you've you've got something that you want to do on the fly or something you want to promote. But if you plan to do a month's worth of content in advance, 2 posts a week, either do them on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. They're the best days for engagement. Try to do them in the morning where your audience is, so that you've got the whole day. While they're likely to be on LinkedIn, people are more likely to be on LinkedIn during the day, for them to engage on your content. So you get likes and comments quickly, which just helps you get more visibility. But plan your content in advance, and that way you can map out, okay, what are the topics that my audience is going to be interested in? Okay, and it might be, okay, in this case, it might be how to create content, how to generate leads, and it might be inspirational stuff for entrepreneurs, right? So just an example. And then you can go, okay, well, what are the subtopics underneath that I can talk about? And then you map out all of the different subcategories that you can discuss and start creating micro content for each little area. So you're not talking about everything in one post. And then when you get to the end of the month, all you do is you look at all the posts you did, your videos and your images, and you go, okay, what are the statistics? How many views did each one get? Write them all down. How many comments did they get? Was there anything interesting in the comments? Any questions that came up? And then based on that data, you can go, okay, next month, I'm going to create more content about this stuff. So let's say in that example where you're talking about lead generation, content creation, and inspirational business stuff, you notice that the lead generation stuff brought in a lot of comments. People had questions, and you're talking about lead generation. People wanted to know more about it, more about what to do when they get the lead. They were asking about sales tips. And so when you're planning your next month's worth of content, let's say, okay, now this month we're going to do half of what we did about the content creation and the inspirational stuff, and we're going to do twice as much about lead generation, and we're going to answer some of those questions that came up about sales tips. That way, each month your content is likely to be optimized to what your audience wants, and you'll see your results go up. All right, so just to give you an idea of what's possible, this is my content statistics over the course of a year from 24th of June to 24th of June this year. So here you can see the number of views, 1.129 million views. That's all organic. That's all organic. 10,800 comments, 29,300 likes. Obviously, I did a lot of posts, but this is all free. This is free exposure. I'll bring that back up in a second, but I just want to highlight, like, if you can get 1 million eyeballs on content that you've created that adds value over the course of the year for free, it's a massive opportunity. And it's not gonna, like, if you can find a way to create content efficiently and effectively and plan it in advance so you're not on there every day, all day long, it's a huge opportunity to get a lot of exposure. I'll just show this again. And you can see, like, some periods I was pretty quiet, some periods got better results than others. 911 shares. So it's increased a lot from the year before. So, people say that LinkedIn organic reach is dying. It's not. I'm getting more reach with my content than I was before. A lot of it is to do with the number of times I'm posting, but it's also because I'm learning quicker. Every time I do a month's worth of content, I'm learning more about what the audience wants and taking advantage of that. So if you're not creating content on LinkedIn, you're missing out on a huge opportunity. And if you are creating content and it's not working, quite often it's just a couple of little tweaks that need to be made in order for it to start getting exposure. I'm not sure why coming through as anonymous either. It might be the platform I'm using. Sorry, I'm just looking to the side because I'm looking at my screen here. Okay, so this here is a customer journey. Okay, so a customer journey is basically the process that somebody goes through to buy from you. So there's awareness, and that's when they don't really know that they need your product or service. And then there's interest when they recognize that there's a need. Then there's a decision, and then there's action, and then people will go into advocacy after that. But you'll notice that it's shaped, like a funnel. And the biggest stage of the customer journey is awareness. And so if you're creating organic content for LinkedIn, your entire network, most of them are likely to be in the awareness stage. Okay, so if you've got 100 people in your network, it's likely that 90 people will be in the awareness stage, and then you might have like 5 people in interest, and just gets lower as you go down the funnel. So the key to creating content that will get free exposure and organic reach is just to cater for the awareness stage of the customer journey. So it's going to be likely to be relevant to more people. And you do that by discussing the problem, not the solution. Talk about things that that'll be relevant to more of them. Sorry. So just use an example, very simple example of like a chiropractor. You know, the content that will work well for a chiropractor is not necessarily talking about the specifics about how he adjusts a certain version of scoliosis. The content that will probably do well is like, you know, oh, do you have pain in your back while you're sleeping? Do you ever wake up and your neck's sore? You know, can you relate to that? And then you can talk about maybe a couple of solutions afterwards, but be very careful not to go too specific. With my business, I can talk about the mistakes that people make on their LinkedIn profile. Like the majority of people, well, the people on LinkedIn have a LinkedIn profile. But if I start talking about like the 3 ways to get more customers from your LinkedIn profile, it's just going to be relevant to less of the people on LinkedIn, because some of them might not know that their customers are on LinkedIn. Some of them might not want more customers on LinkedIn. Some might think their profile is amazing. More of them will be able to relate to the mistakes on a LinkedIn profile. So that's a couple of just examples, something to think about. So a lot of people just get on there and start talking about their product service. They're like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I've created this new product, and you know, it does this. So if you're, a single mom, or, you know, they describe the target market, whereas what they should be doing is creating interest to a wider audience. And then what will happen is if the people are interested in finding more and they want to move down the customer journey, they'll click on the LinkedIn profile, read the profile. So that's why the profile is really important. And they might even go to your website. So you want to create like all these views to your profile, so it just takes people from the awareness stage to the interest stage and eventually to be customers. I'll just show that one more time again in case you missed it. The customer journey, very important when you're creating content on LinkedIn. Okay. Got a question here. Stephen Wright, thanks for tuning in, mate. How often should one be posting on LinkedIn, please? What you want to do is try and be in the newsfeed as long as possible. And so when you post, you'll initially, hopefully, well, if you're doing it well, get, you know, likes and comments coming in for the first day. And quite often it will last 2 or 3 days, just depending on how good the content is. What you want to do is when it starts to slow down and you're not getting engagement on that post, is to post again. Because what that means is when the engagement slow down, it's not really showing up in the news feed for anyone anymore. So I found that with most of my clients, you know, who don't necessarily have experience posting on LinkedIn, we take it over. Twice a week is a good number to start with. Anything more than that, and you can be diluting it a little bit. Like once you know what you're doing, you can do more than that. But twice a week is really good because it gives each post the same opportunity for you to be able to get engagement on it. Then you can measure the results effectively. So the best time of the week, according to LinkedIn, is to post on Wednesday. What I will say is if your audience is in Perth, for example, you want to post it at the start of the day in Perth. But if you're in Perth and your audience is in US or in the UK, you've got to think about where they are. So you might actually do it in the evening in Perth so that they're seeing it in the morning. By doing that, you allow them to engage on the content all day. I'd never forget, I did an interview, one of my first big interviews with Dr. John Demartini. I was extremely excited about it. And I actually posted the video when I was in Melbourne at 10 p.m. at night. And I was so excited to get it up. That's when it came back to me when the editors had finished it. And what happened is, because I don't have as many people in the US as I do in Australia, the engagement overnight was relatively slow, and then it picked up the next day, which just meant because there wasn't enough momentum or enough velocity, it didn't reach as many people as it could have. I waited a few months and posted it again on a Tuesday morning, I believe. And just because I did it in the morning when most of my audience is awake, it got a lot more engagement faster because you want to get engagement quick. Diluting means diluting the value, diluting the value. So they always tell people, like, you should be posting more if you can, if you have time, and you know, it's still going to be efficient. But as soon as the quality of each post drops because you're doing a higher quantity, stop. Because the quality of each post is really important. I think if you post too much, what you can actually do is cause what they call audience fatigue, where people are like a little bit tired of seeing your stuff over and over again, and then the number of engagement that each post gets actually goes down. Your stats might be going up overall, but that you want to be making sure that each post that you do is getting more engagement, or at least over the course of a month. Start with twice a week, then you can slowly increase it from there. I was posting 5 times a day 2 years ago, and it was working really well at that time. At the moment, I don't. I do 2-3 times a week. I find it works a lot better at the moment. The LinkedIn algorithm's trying to give people a range of content, and if you're posting too much, they're just going to think that you're spamming the network, and so you'll find the sweet spot, and you'll find out very quickly if you're posting too much. If the audience says, "Oh, I'm hearing from you too much," or you'll just get less engagement because they lose interest. So twice a week's a very good number to start with. But I will say this: it's very important to stay consistent. Consistency is everything on social media. That's how you build trust. People want to know when they can expect to hear from you, how often they can expect to hear from you. You can lose a lot of followers if you're posting, 2 or 3 times this week, and then you're quiet for a week, and then you do a lot the next week. It's important to be consistent. Oh, good. I'm glad that was helpful. Okay, one more picture I want to show you here. And this is about creating content efficiently. So we've talked about how to create effective content by using a hook, planning your content in advance, creating content for the awareness stage of the customer journey. Now I want to talk about how to do it efficiently so you're not wasting heaps of time, because people spend hours and hours creating 2 to 3 minute video. It's posted and they get whatever, 1,000 views or whatever, but then it's gone. And with social media, you need a lot of content. So if you're spending 3 hours or 4 hours each time you do a video, and you're doing twice a week, spending 8 hours at least, creating content, that doesn't even include like responding to comments and stuff. It's very time consuming, and you can waste a lot of time doing that. So what you want to do is batch create content. Create content in batches. So in 1 hour for our clients, we create 30 pieces of content, 20 videos and 10 images within 1 hour. It's actually more like 45 minutes now. We've got a lot better at it. I'm using a adaptation of a model created by a social media marketer in the US, who some of you may know, called Gary Vaynerchuk, who's got Vayner Media. And I'll show you basically what it looks like. So you start by creating what they call pillar content, which is one long form piece of content, and it can be an interview, it can be a live keynote, like a talk, could be a podcast interview, could be a webinar, could be lots of different things, but basically it's a long form piece of content, 30, 40 minutes. We do it as an interview. So I interview the client, ask them questions that I know the answers will create engaging content, and each answer is designed to be a one short, 1 to 3 minute video. And then from that pillar content, that long content or that long talk, that long interview, you create short videos. You edit them down into short videos on specific subjects. And then you schedule the micro content into your calendar to be posted throughout the month. And then you measure the insights. So the next time you do pillar content, you're creating content that's more likely to get engagement. Does that make sense? So the pillar content strategy is basically like how to create lots of content at once. And what happens is, once you've got experience doing these interviews or doing a live talk, is you start thinking about your talks or your interviews in chunks. How do I create these 2 to 3 minute chunks? And then each one should be branded professionally. I think, with LinkedIn, it's important to have professional video production, especially if you're doing educational video content. And so you've got a headline, so it looks like a square, meme format. So in the bottom of it, you have your subtitles. At the top, you have an engaging headline that creates curiosity, makes people want to know more. And then in the middle, you'll have your video. You'll see lots of these on LinkedIn. And then at the start, you want to hook your audience, and then you want to just chop out all of the parts in the video where, you're going or maybe you just sidetrack for a while. If you're talking about a topic for 5-6 minutes, that's great because you can edit it down to 2 minutes, and then you hold people's attention. And that's the way to create really engaging content. Now, I'm not suggesting that everyone should go out and become a professional video editor. You can outsource this. So the team that I've got that does all of our video editing for us is a professional video production company, but I've taught them how to do it in a very efficient manner so that they can edit 20 videos in a very short period of time, just following the same process, that same system. Similar to making a McDonald's cheeseburger, only, much better quality. I'm glad some of the people in the audience like Gary Vaynerchuk. Shout out to Gary V, learned a lot from that guy. And so we've created a lot of content for clients this way. And you'll see them on LinkedIn. I share them every now and then with the hashtag behind the brand. So if you want to look at some examples, just have a look at what I'm posting on LinkedIn or just search for the hashtag behind the brand and see if you can find some of the posts that I'm sharing. We do 10 clients a month for Behind the Brand, and we create this content, 20 videos, 10 images is enough content to post for 3 months. And then at the end of 3 months, we hone in on the topics that are most likely to get the most engagement. It's great. Clients have been getting leads straight off the bat, first video. Businesses that only have 200-300 people in their network, never posted before on LinkedIn, all of a sudden getting 80 comments, thousands and thousands of views in their first video. I've been looking for a way to create content for clients or help them create content that works straight from the start. And we finally got there. I'm really happy with this process. It's so systematic, So have we been through all of the slides here? Yes. I'll bring up this just one more time so you can have another look. It's a content model, Gary V content model that I use. Basically, he uses it to post on social media 100 times a day. And I thought, I don't need to post 100 times a day, nor do my clients, but it would be good to find out the system that he uses to create that much content. He must know a thing or two about creating a lot of content, and you can create enough content for 3 months in 1 hour. Just if you've got the right system and you've got the video guys to help you, you just don't want to be doing them one by one. It's a very inefficient way, very difficult to measure. And then make sure as well that you're creating content for the awareness stage of the customer journey. Very, very important. All right. Okay, any questions on what I've covered so far? Drop in the comments if you've got any questions about creating content on LinkedIn while you're doing that. Pretty much the final thing that I want to say is you've got to be adding value. And you can do that 4 ways. There's 4 ways to add value. So you might want to write these down. Education, information, inspiration, and entertainment. So education is like, okay, I'm going to teach you how to add your phone contacts to your LinkedIn network. Okay, so I want to teach people how to do that. That's an educational video. An inspirational post might be something like, I recently reached $1 million in my business. These are the 3 things that I've learned along the way during my career. And so it's inspirational. People want to celebrate achievements on LinkedIn. You should definitely be sharing your achievements because it does build momentum. Information is just like basically announcements, right? Tell people, how like if in COVID, for example, like if your restaurant's going to be closed, just inform people. Information is a way to add value. And then entertainment, which we don't see a lot of on LinkedIn, is a great way to add value. If you can make your content entertaining and educational at the same time, you'll do exceptionally well. But entertainment, something funny that's going on in the office behind the scenes, a joke you heard, lots of different things that you could do for entertainment. If you can make your education or inspirational posts entertaining as well, you'll crush it, which is part of the reason why Gary Vee and guys like that do really well, is they can be very entertaining. Some of us not so much. But people are very impatient, so you want to make sure you give the value straight away. That's the most important thing, and make sure that you're being focused, not unfocused with your content, being proactive with who's in your network, not reactive, and you'll do well. I hope you guys got value from watching Monday Night Live tonight. If you're watching the replay, don't drop in the comments and ask any questions you do have, or we'll be checking on the comments to answer any questions later on this week. But have a great week in business, guys, and I'll see you next week on Monday Night Live. Thanks for being here.